Philip Lanyon, cinematographer for Star Trek Discovery Season 4. It's now streaming on Paramount Plus. I know you worked as a cinematographer, Philip, on numerous episodes of Picard, actually, before embarking on Season 4 of Discovery. So how did you like go about differentiating looks of the show while keeping within obviously the milieu of Star Trek and the universe of Star Trek?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're quite different shows. I actually did Discovery before Picard, and then the first season of Picard. So I have a little bit of knowledge about, how the two shows were going to kind of be. Picard's very much a kind of a character piece about the man, and Discovery is more about more larger scale kind of humanistic stories, this adventurer and discovery. So yeah, I felt like right away they were very different. They were different pieces. We tended to shoot less cameras on Picard, a little more single camera coverage, and on Discovery, we have 3, sometimes 4 cameras on set to cover 7, 8, 9 people in a scene sometimes.
Yeah, I knew you worked on Discovery before. So coming back for Season 4, I guess how much had the show changed, or do you feel like, or like what was like new coming back into it after being away?
Yeah, I mean, the whole timeline changed. It was quite a different show. Discovery actually jumps 1,000 years in the future since Season 2. So, the whole methodology to the technology changed. We don't do wires or plumbing or things like that anymore. And, our furniture floats, and, just trying to imagine this tech, 1,000 years in the future. What does lighting look like? Like, how do we use lighting? How does it change? Yeah. So all those kind of questions.
And then when you're doing that, like, how do you answer those questions? Because they're all, it's like, it is fascinating, and like, it does look so different and really cool. And you're obviously blending, like a lot of visual effects and, prosthetic makeup and all these different things. How do you like make sure you approach it so it feels like real? I guess it's weird to say realistic to somebody watching it, but like when you watch a show, you're like, seems like it could be what it's like, right? Or whatever. So how do you get that approach visually, or get that to hit the mark visually?
Yeah, and also, you can kind of go high tech and think, okay, what's even more technologically advanced? What's more? But often it's like, what's less? Like, what would humans keep? What is inherent? Would people still gravitate towards a campfire, or to parties, or to communicating in person? So, and it's a lot of those analog things that the audience, I think, will still connect with. So a lot of it's about, maintaining older kind of natural kind of vibe. And then, for instance, you might have a light that floats in space, but it would still be something kind of natural and organic, in color temperature, say, or in quality, so.
Is this a lot of, for you, is it like a lot of trial and error to find how it would look, or how do you like it, how do you research it to make sure, like, or you just, is it like you're walking around your house and being like, oh, that kind of looks cool, you know what I mean? Like, is it stuff like that? Like, what is the process like?
Yeah, there's a lot of 3 a.m. kind of like, oh yeah, that would kind of work. Yeah, and just looking at references, looking at what you like, what you respond to, and a lot of it's conversing with the wonderful talent we have on the show too, the production designer, the director. We're kind of banging ideas off of each other and coming up with how would this look.
The show, like talking about the visuals, it has all these great performances as well. Like you said, like a much big cast and all these different. How do you make sure you're not losing that humanity, I guess, from the performances within the visuals? You know what I mean? Like, and like within the scope of when you have like these, a lot of massive visual effects, like I said, like all these different things, because the performances are so, like, I mean, for lack of a better word, like human. It's like it comes across really well. And you're able to get those intimate moments within the big, spectacle, I think. And how are you able to accomplish that?
Yeah, I think you just really trust in the writing. I think, we have an incredible team that that knows all the canon, knows all the history, knows good writing, and then those scripts come down to us and we all respond to it, and the actors are so well versed at breathing life into these characters. You kind of, it's more about standing back and just giving them that space, or creating an atmosphere on set that they can kind of shine, you know. So you're pre-lighting, you're trying to make it look as good as possible without making a big fuss about it, you know, and giving them the space to do their thing.
Yeah, there were a lot of surprises on this season of Discovery. One, I'm not necessarily, I guess it's a spoiler, but the finale had a big cameo with Stacey Abrams shows up. I don't think that's a spoiler because it was like an actual news story. So what was that like? I know she's obviously a big Trek fan, but can you talk about that sequence? It was a very fun treat, I think, for fans and for viewers, I guess. What was that like to do that? And what was it like, I guess, just like, is that one of those days where you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm just shooting Stacey Abrams in a Star Trek Discovery episode? It just seems like not something you would necessarily expect, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a very surreal day. It was I think it was our last day of season 4. We shot it, and it was on our virtual production stage. That was all very sort of, you know, expectations were high, but it was also kind of a joyous atmosphere. So it was exciting. That's all I kind of got to say about it. It was very exciting, and yeah, it was a great day.
Yeah, what was, I mean, for you, what was a shot that you were so excited, like you were excited to get, or just like you were like, oh, this like could be really complicated. I'm really thrilled that we were able to pull it off in this last season.
In the season?
Yeah.
You know, we kind of go into this orb of the 10C. They kind of envelop the ship in this orb. And our directing producer asked me, look, is there something we can do practically in these windows instead of green screen? And at first I thought, oh, you know, like, you know, we're not going to see any scope or scale or anything. And so I kind of started playing with some Mylar and some plastic and just different light. Me and the key grip just went and bounced light around and found this kind of like material that I could get this shimmer. And what I realized was when I put this orb light in front, is all of a sudden I had windows again. I had window light coming in all the ships, which when you're in space, it's not usually happening. Sometimes you're bringing in sun and stuff, but this beautiful soft window light. So we were able to capture, you know, a lot of the end episodes with natural light, and you got all the real reflections off the furniture and cast and everything. And so I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess like you, obviously like you have a deep history here with Star Trek, like you mentioned, like Picard and Discovery and stuff. Why do you, I mean, what the show is incredibly vital still, obviously, like Strange New Worlds just premiered. Like, it's like, you know, people are still very excited about Star Trek. Obviously it still has a lot to say, but what do you think is like what is so why is it so lasting in culture, and why do people keep coming back to Star Trek and finding, you know, new audiences are finding it, like I said, and just beyond, like, obviously, you know, fans who have been fans for 40, 50 years.
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I think, you know, it's our positive view of the future. You know, like there's a lot of stories out there that are dismal and negative and portray an apocalyptic future for humankind. And Star Trek kind of says, look, here's a path forward. Like we can get along and we can communicate and we can explore and discover. And so I think the fans appreciate that as well, I think.
Has your perspective on the show changed having worked on it at all? Like, even from like what going in, like, I'm sure you were obviously like a fan or at least aware of Star Trek before you started working on it, because it's, you know, a major franchise. But I mean, has your perspective on it changed?
Changed? No, I think it's flourished. Like, I've obviously been into delve into, you know, 3 years of Star Trek canon and watching old episodes and TNG and really diving into, you know, how a Star Trek episode is formed and what makes a great episode. And, you know, so I think it's just fleshed out a lot.
Yeah.
What do we, but I think the core beliefs has always been the same. Yeah.
You don't have to you don't have to go away trade secret. What does make a great episode in your opinion of Star Trek?
I don't know. It's just, you know, it's just when when it hits, everything hits together, you know, you just have, you have the right story at the right time, the actors are in the right place, you have I don't know, just everything starts banging on all cylinders. The director brings that certain something, that bit of magic, that bit of life, and everything connects. Yeah, they can be, some of the simpler episodes are, you know, have much larger sort of ideas about them, and they just work, you know, even if sometimes the, you know, traditionally, if the effects have been poor or something like that, I'm talking the older episodes, you know, the original series and stuff, you just buy in because the concepts are so great.
Yeah. Philip Lanyon, Star Trek Discovery cinematographer, season 4, streaming on Paramount Plus. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.